Hey everyone, welcome back to White Sparrow Living, Luke 12:6. I'm Wendy, and this is the Mystery Box Challenge time. I'm so excited. If you're not familiar with how it works, my sweet friend Courtney over at Creative on the Cheap puts together about 9 YouTubers here, and we will send each other a box, and then the other person sends a box, and it makes one big round circle that leads back to the first person. I don't know how to explain it. That's the best I have. So for this challenge, my box was sent to Whitney over at Whiskey and Wit, and the person that sent their box to me was Kristen K, my sweet friend. And so we're going to be opening that in just a second. So this time it's all Dollar Tree items, and then we have 2 challenge items that we have to use in a DIY of some sort. But also Courtney likes to put a little twist in there. So this time we have to use a pipe cleaner. Wait, what do we have to use? So for this month's twist, we have to use a pipe cleaner and a clothespin in the same DIY. Is it at the? Yeah, it's the same DIY. Okay, so we have to use that in one project, and then plus our 2 challenge items and whatever else we have in our box. So we're gonna open Kristen's box, and I'm super excited. So let's get started. Oh, and you may notice I didn't do my hair because I was so excited when this came. I don't even have earrings on. Okay, well. Sorry guys, this is it. Okay, so we're gonna open this up and see what Kristen K sent me. This is like Christmas, and that's perfect because we're doing some Christmas DIYs. Okay, so first off we have a little card. She says, Wendy, my sweet friend, I went easy on these challenge items, kind of. I think about you often, sending all the hugs and love your way, Kristen. I cannot wait to see what you create. P.S. This is the closest to a card I will ever get or send. Yeah. She's so funny. Anyway. Okay, so here's challenge item number 1. Well, let me check her card. Oh, challenge item number 2 and number 1. So we'll open those last. Oh dear. So we have some twine, and this is the wired kind. I love that. I know this kind of gets a little slow, so I'm trying to run through these. Some white rope, which we always love. Some cotton buds. What do they call these? Cotton pods. These are cotton pods. Okay, mystery solved. And then we, ooh, pretty metal tags. I don't think I have these. I love that. And then pom-pom makers. What? Have you guys seen these? I have not even seen these. Okay, I'm super excited about this. Oh my goodness. Love that. Okay, and then we have some wood curl roses. These are so pretty. I never see these either. Right on, Kristen. I'm getting the stuff. Some gold bells. You can never have too many bells at Christmas. Is that annoying? Is that annoying? Okay, and then oh my gosh, my heart. Sweet little Presley made me a card too. Like mother, like daughter. Thank you so much, Presley. That means so much. Okay, and then we have some mesh tubing in red. We can use this for anything. We have a house. Ah, so cute. I think I have a small one. I don't have the big ones. And then, wait, okay, I don't think this is from Dollar Tree. Is this from Dollar Tree? I think it might be. Yep, green beer. Look how cute. I have not seen this. This is adorable. I'm just gonna leave it like that. Okay, so we'll see what I'm gonna make. Stay tuned to watch what I come up with. I have no idea. There will be a pom-pom involved, I guarantee. I forgot to open the mystery challenge items. Okay, so challenge item number 1. I love opening perky prizes. What is this? It makes a lot of noise. Oh, okay, that's kind of fun. Toothpick holders. What can I do with this? That's exciting, or different, but I don't think it's going to be too hard. Well, we'll see. Challenge item number 2. I like this wrapping paper. What is this? Oh, what? Oh, this is cute. It's a little purse. It's a carrying tote, or it says crossbody bag Hey, this is pretty cool. I might just use this. Maybe I should go get another one and then just make something out of that. I love it. Well, oh, I hit my microphone. And now without further ado, let's get started. For our first project, I thought I would get the most difficult one out of the way first, and that's the one where we have to use a clothespin and pipe cleaners in the same project. So it's gonna kind of pivot halfway through. You'll see what I mean in a second. So I'm using some of Dollar Tree's boxes, and I took all of the lids off. I'll probably use that later because remember, it's not hoarding if you use it, but I'm just going to paint all of the outsides of my boxes in Waverly White chalk paint. And then I wanted to give them that enamelware look, so I used my red paint pen and did all of the edges on the top. But you'll see later on I'm gonna paint over this, but I do want to show you what it looks like because it will be really cute this way. And it's super Christmassy farmhouse looking if I went ahead with this, but you'll see what happens. So anyway, I used a total of 6 boxes. I'm going to take 3 of them and place them together, use some permanent adhesive as well as some hot glue and put those together. These boxes are a little bit different in height, so you do want to plan ahead and see which ones are the most level because we're going to put 2 more on top of that and then the final one on the very tippy top. So I'm just going to attach all of those, and I used my Dollar Tree clamps to keep them together while they were drying. And the permanent adhesive takes about 24 hours to dry, but I'm a little impatient, so I kept working. And as you can see, I put my 3 boxes together first, then I put my 2 boxes together, and then I didn't have to put my 1 box together. But then I'm going to start stacking them 3, 2, and then 1. And this is all going to be attached on top of a candle holder from Dollar Tree as well. So the next thing I'm going to do is take some popsicle sticks, and I just pulled out the ones that had a little bit of wood grain to them, a little bit darker, and I'm just going to cut those down with my wire cutters. I'm going to be making a manger because this is going to be a nativity set where it's got Mary, Jesus, and Joseph on the bottom 3 boxes, and then we're going to have the 3 wise men and the shepherds in the next 2. The angel at the top, and on top of all of that is going to be the star. So I'm crisscrossing my 2 bottom popsicle sticks, and then to make sure that they're level, I'm going to make the second set on top of that first set so that they're exactly the same, if that makes sense. And I'm cutting off the bottom so that they'll sit flat in my box on the flat surface. And then once I get those done, I'm going to cut down some pieces, and these are going to be kind of like the planks of the manger. So I'm going to glue those onto one side and then take my other legs and attach it to those planks and then go up, and so it's kind of like a V. Does that make sense? I don't know. Anyway, once I get that all put together, I'm going to take some Excelsior and stick that in there with some hot glue and just get it kind of messy and then cut around the edges so that it's not so out of control. And then I took a little wood bead and I'm going to glue that in there so that'll look like a little baby head. So now comes the part where I'm using clothespins, and these are the old-fashioned kind of clothespins, so hopefully that's not considered cheating, Courtney. So I'm going to mark these down to get them to the height that I want, and then I'm going to take them to my miter box and cut them down. I'll have to sand the bottom so that they're nice and flat so that they stand up straight inside of the boxes, but I did different heights depending on who it was and what I thought their height might be just to make it look good. So I'm making Mary a little bit shorter than Joseph. I don't know why, just because I'm shorter than Michael J, I guess. So I'm going to cut those down with that, and then I used a Dollar Tree shelf liner, you know, that non-stick stuff, and I cut that down to make a little veil for Mary and just placed it over her head and hot glued it in the back, and then took some white string and wrapped that around to cinch it all together. And then I'll cut off the bottom so that it's even and looks so cute. And then for Joseph, I just did the same thing with that shelf liner, but it's a little bit darker beigey color. And then for the wise men, I took some small ornaments and pulled off the tops and then just cut off that little loopy loop at the top with my wire cutters and then glued those onto their heads. And then I took the bottom pieces of the clothespins that I cut off, the scraps, I'm going to glue those to the front, and that'll be their little gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And then one of them is a little block from Dollar Tree. And then I took some of that gold string that comes with the ornaments, and I'm just going to undo those and tie it around in different ways. I was just going crazy. It was so fun. But then I took some tulle, and for the angel, I'm going to attach those. I just bunched it up and glued it in the back. And then I took some gold wire and made a little halo with a tail so that I could have something to glue it onto the back of her head with. So it was about at this point when I decided to pivot and change everything to neutral because it was so pretty with the color of the wood clothespins and everything. Now I'm going to take some linen ribbon from burlapfabric.com and I'm going to make the little shepherds. And so I just cut that down. This has the frayed edges, so I cut it away where the face would be. And I'm going to overlap it over their forehead. And then I'm going to tie some jute twine around their waist and their head so it looks like a little shepherd. I'm going to add their little shepherd's hook, and guess what I used? I used a pipe cleaner. So I just hooked that up and hot glued that to their sides, and that's what they will use when they are herding their sheep. It's not a whole lot of pipe cleaner, but I think I completed the challenge. So here's where I did my little pivot, and I painted the entire thing with my chalk paint in white. And the star that I was going to use when I was going with the red and white enamelware look was this black and white buffalo check or gingham star. So you see how cute that would have been. But instead, since everything is neutral, I found this wand at the Dollar Tree. And so I'm going to cut that down and attach it to the top. And I think it's perfect. Then I took some hot glue and some permanent adhesive and attached it to a white candle holder. Now I left the back part showing so that there wasn't the gap in the front. And I did paint the back of my tree. And you guys know that when I'm crafting, I love listening to my worship music, and doing a nativity set or anything that's Jesus related when you're crafting. It's just such a good, intimate time to be with Jesus. I love doing projects like this, and these are always the easiest ones. This isn't really easy, but it doesn't seem really hard because you're just kind of immersed in the word and the story, and I just love it. So now to attach my star to the top of my tree, I took a thumbtack and just poked it in there so that I could get kind of a pilot hole, and then pulled it out with my needle nose pliers and then put it into the top of my tree with the pointy side pointing up so that then I could put my star on top of that. And here it is all finished, and I'm in love with this so much. I'm glad I took the time to pivot and make it into this beauty. I think it is so pretty and goes with any decor. Such a beautiful way of recounting the reason for the season. Some of you may not know that you're not supposed to have the baby Jesus out until Christmas Eve, so that one I didn't glue down. The rest of them I did. You could leave them where they're not glued and the kids can put them up, but I love this and I hope you like it too. For this project, I'm using the little house that Kristen sent me in the black and white gingham, and I found this Home is Wherever I'm With You sign at the Dollar Tree. I actually was going to do a completely different project using this sign, but then when I read what it said, before I painted over it, I came up with this, and I don't know, it was just like kind of a last minute thing, but I love it so much. So I'm taking a sign from the Dollar Tree and using my Waverly chalk paint in ink and just painting that completely black. That's going to be our little stand. And I'll just set that aside to dry. And while that's drying, I'm going to take this ornament. This is the first year I've seen these at the Dollar Tree. I think it's so pretty. But I'm going to dismantle it and pull off the bell and cut off the ribbon because you couldn't even pull it off. It was so glued on there. So once I get that off, I'm going to add some flour sack striped ribbon from Walmart that a sweet viewer gifted to me. And then I'll just make a sweet little bow and attach that right on top, and then hot glue the entire ornament onto my little house. And I'm covering up that little plaque that's on there, but I think it works really well because then it just shows black in the middle of my ornament. It makes the white stand out really well, I think. And then I took my sign and I'm going to attach the house to the side of the sign, but I made sure that the letters all still showed. And then I just want to make sure that it's completely level with the base. So I'm going to do that while it's standing up on that base. And then I'm going to attach both of those to the base so that it's all snug as a bug in a rug. And then I took some Dollar Tree greenery and I'm just going to cut off the little pieces and start gluing those down to the area that I left in front of the sign. Again, I don't want to cut off any of the words or cover that up, so I just want to make sure that those are laying down. And on the bottom ones, I cut off one side of the greenery so that it would lay flat and the glue would adhere to it. And then just go wild and start poking these here and there so that it's all nice and full. And I love these berries in this greenery. And everything has glitter, so we'll be all filled with glitter until probably February. And then I'm going to take a pine cone and pop that into the corner right where the house and the sign meet. And then I found some mini pine cones. I don't know where these are from. There was a little price tag on there that was handwritten, so I can't tell you where they were from. They were gifted to me by another sweet viewer. So I just popped those in here and there, added another pine cone, and it was done. And I think this is so pretty and perfect for Christmas. Home is wherever I'm with you. I have it staged with my cake topper from our wedding, but secretly, this is more about my mom because she is home. I love it, and I hope you like it too. So now I'm going to be using one of Kristen's challenge items. That was the black tote or purse or whatever. So I picked up a couple of others. I had never seen these before, and I picked up one in like an off-white color and a salmony pink color. I was kind of trying to figure out how to make this into Christmas, but this is the best I could come up with. So I'm just going to pull it apart by cutting it all down and getting as much fabric or area that I can. And so I have one of those wood rounds from the Dollar Tree, and you can find these in the crafters aisle. I guess you guys probably know where everything is by now. Anyway, I'm going to take a white paint pen and just circle around my wood piece and get a rough idea of where it's going to be cut down, just so it's more manageable. And so I'm going to cut that using my scissors, and I'm going to do the same thing with the pink one. And then for the white one, I'm just going to make kind of a stripe, because it's going to go right in the middle. And then I took out my little jute piece, the hanging piece, and I'm going to set that aside because we are going to use that later. And then I took a craft knife and my cutting mat, and I'm just going to go all the way around and cut that down so that it has a nice perfect edge. And I'll do that on both the pink one and the black one. So once I got all of my pieces cut out, I'm going to take my little mini iron, and I got this at Walmart, and I believe it was $9.99, and it works so well, but it gets really hot, and it does have steam. So I'm just going to press these. They were a little wrinkled, so I got it out perfectly. And then I'm going to place all of my pieces where I want them to be and tape them down because I want really straight edges that match up together. So using a straight edge, I use my craft knife and cut them down. So I'm cutting through 2 layers on each pass, and then I'll pull out the excess that was cut down, and your edges should match up perfectly. So now for my jute twine hanger, I'm going to push on some beads, and I did these in a different pattern. I did like a big one, and then 2 medium ones, and then a big one, and then a small one in black, and then just repeated that pattern. I was going to have the ends of this jute twine sandwich in between my wood and my fabric, but I changed my mind at the last minute because it did leave a little bump. It would have been covered. I figured I would just make a hole through that pleather and stick it through that. But either way, it's going to be covered with greenery anyway. So then I'm just going to attach these using some glue, and I did get my holes lopsided, but I'll address that in a minute. So I just used some liquid glue that my friend Bryn gave me, and I'm going to get that all attached. And you could use white glue, I'm sure, for this, or Mod Podge, or anything that you want just to get it stuck down. I think using hot glue though would be an issue because you might see the bumpity bumps around wherever you put the glue through that pleather. So anyway, then I took my cutting machine, and I'm going to cut out the words and the word, and then that's going to be in black, and then I'll cut out in white became flesh. And so I'll have the fonts that I used listed in the description box below because I cannot remember them right now. I only retain water, you know that. So I just cut those out, weeded it, and then put my transfer tape on top of it, pulled the backing sheet off, and then I'm going to attach it to my sign. And so I'm putting the and the word part on the off-white section on the little stripe, and then I'll put the became flesh at the bottom towards the right. So it's kind of offset and cute. So I had to punch another hole through my board because I had tilted my fabric like I said. So I wanted my sign to hang straight, and had to make that extra hole. And then I'm just going to place my hanger into those holes, and it's got the little plastic thingy that you flatten out so that it stays in place. And then once I get my hanger on, I'm going to put my greenery at the top, and I'm just cutting off the long parts of the stems. I'm going to overlap them, one going one way, one going the other. I'll add some berries from another Dollar Tree pick, some spruce, or I don't know what these are, pine, who knows, some kind of greenery cuteness, and just put those all together, and with a zip tie I'll attach them. And then using some more of that linen ribbon from burlapfabric.com, I'm just going to make a sweet little bow. Well, it's not even really a sweet little bow. It's actually a little bit bigger. I had some longer tails, but I decided to cut those off because it was covering up too much of the pretty greenery. But I'm just going to attach that with a chenille stem and then put another piece of fabric over it, attach that to the greenery, and then using that extra chenille stem, I'm going to make another hole at the top using my crocodile and stick that chenille stem in through that hole and attach it there. So when I was doing this and I was using my crocodile, my mom was sitting here watching me in the room, and she saw it and she was just so amazed that I was able to cut a hole into my wood, so she wanted to see it. We try to spend as much time as possible together these days because you never know, what day is going to be the last. Anyway, here's how it turned out. I think this is so pretty, and I love these colors for Christmas. Who would have thought that you could have salmon, black, and off-white as a Christmas sign? But also the glitter from the greenery kind of just wispies down and gets all over the sign, so it's nice and sparkly too. I love how this turned out, and I hope you like it too. For this project, okay, I'm using my toothpick holders, and I had such a great idea for this. It kind of goes awry too, but what are you going to do? So I'm going to make a hole in the bottom of I keep wanting to call these salt shakers, but they're toothpick holders and they're plastic. But I'm using my heat tool to make a hole at the bottom, and I just kept making it bigger and bigger. And then I took these sparkly red tea lights from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to stick that flame up into that hole, and it's the exact size of the bottom of my toothpick holder, so I just glued those together. And then I'm going to take some sparkly snow from the Dollar Tree and fill that up, not quite to the top, but just put some in there, and you can see that the light shows through that, and then I'll put my lid back on top. So then I took a little bit of this white rope that Kristen sent. I'm going to cut off 2 little pieces, and then I'll unwind those so that I have now 3 pieces from the one section, if that makes sense. And I'll hot glue those just under the lid of my little toothpick holder. And then I'm going to hold that down and unravel all of that rope so that it looks like a beard, because we're making a gnome. Hoo-hoo! So I took this Dollar Tree scarf, it's a little Santa scarf, and I'm going to cut off the big fat pom-pom at the end. And I cut off a piece of the red scarf at about 7 inches or so. And then I turned it inside out and hot glued the end just so that I would have a finished edge. And that's not really for looks because it's going to be covered up. It's just because it kind of sheds everywhere, as you can see on my work surface. So I just hot glued that down, and then I took a needle and thread, and at the other end I'm just going to go in and out and do a stitch all the way around so that I can gather it and then knot that together. Now my plan was I was going to put a pom-pom that was smaller using my brand new handy dandy pom-pom makers. Well, I'll show you that in a second. So I took a big piece of wire, and I'm going to cut that down because I want his hat to be able to be turned or shaped however I want it. And so I'm going to open the little hole where the toothpick holder has a hole at the top so you can get the toothpicks out. And I'm going to poke it in there, and I put a little stuffing into that hat, and then I'm going to place that on top of the wire and then glue it down around the rim. Now, the thing I should have done before, I didn't realize this, and then it just kind of looked like, one of those British soldier hats instead of a gnome hat. But I should have tapered it and cut it and redid it so that it wasn't just straight. You see what I'm saying? So I just made it the shape that I wanted, glued it down over the top of that rope beard, got that all attached, and then I took a wood bead for his nose and just glued it right up in there. And then I'm gonna take some Dollar Tree fluffy yarn. I guess that's, I don't know what else to call it, fluffy yarn, but I thought I would just wrap this around the bottom and that would be his little rim. You could also use like a mop pad, but again, those are super, super messy when you cut those apart. So here's where I'm gonna use my pom-pom maker. I didn't know how to use this, so I was reading the directions. First thing I should have done was used regular yarn because this made it a little bit more difficult just because it was so fluffy and hard to see where everything was. But I did what it said on the directions. Now the directions were a little limited and I think they skipped some crucial steps. There were only 4 steps and it didn't really make sense to me. So I will have to watch a tutorial because as you can see, this did not work. So while I said I guaranteed there would be a pom-pom, I had to revert to plan B because this happened. So plan B it was, and I just used a pre-made pom-pom and glued that to the top of his hat. And then I took some Christmas greenery and attached that to the side of his hat. Gave him a little trim on his beard so that it would kind of taper in and be a little bit shorter so that pretty light would show through. And here he is all done. I think he's adorable. I would have done some things differently, but I still think he's pretty darn cute. Now he was supposed to have a friend with him, but I ran out of time. So what else is new? But here he is at night, all shimmery and shining. I love how these tea lights flicker like a real flame. But I love this and I hope you like it too. So now we're going to use that pretty little house that Kristen sent me. And I knew I had another one, but that was all I had. So I had to get some other Dollar Tree ones and I'll show you those in a second. So what I want to do is make a cookie tower. And I'm using my Cricut spatula to just get the backboard part of this. I'll save the frame once I get this taken apart, but I just want this back piece because I'm going to be putting a whole bunch of these together. I end up using a total of 15 of these. And I found these at Dollar Tree just recently. There's some that have like the white erase board and then some of them have the black chalkboard. So these are really cute, but I was able to disassemble them by just using my hammer and pulling off the frame. I'm gonna save these extra pieces because again, remember, it's not hoarding if you use it. And I can already tell this would be perfect if I run out of crosses for whatever project. So I'm going to be using my Cricut Joy and some contact paper. Now I would recommend using regular solid color paper for this because I'm just making shapes, and with this pattern on top of that contact paper, I was kind of going blind trying to find the little lines and where to pull them off. So all I'm doing is cutting out some basic shapes so that when I put them on my boards, when I paint over it, it's going to look like little windows. And the perfect thing about this is that the wood that I'm doing it on is the color of gingerbread, so I don't have to paint my little houses first. And when I pull up my stickers, that brown's going to be showing through. So I'm going to also be using a wood block from the Dollar Tree and the outside of one of those drawers from the Dollar Tree. Also, if anyone has any of these boxes that they'd be willing to donate for a special cause, can you email me and I will fill you in on the details. So to construct our tower, I'm using a wood round from the Dollar Tree, and then I have these hat boxes that I believe are from Michael's. One is 9 inches, and then the medium size one is 6 inches. And I'm going to paint everything white, including the lids of my boxes. I'll get more into that in a minute, but I'm taking my chalk paint in white and my brush from Annie Sloan. And you can find these online at the Annie Sloan website. Every time I use this brush, everybody starts asking about it. So it's Annie Sloan, and I've had this brush now for at least 5 years. But anyway, and then I'm using also a little box from the Dollar Tree. This one's about 4 inches in diameter. And what's going to happen is I'm going to place them upside down on top of each other. But that second hat box, the medium-sized one, I ended up having to take the lid off of that one because it was a little too tight for my houses to fit around. So now I'm going to paint all of my houses, and I'm using a super light pink. So I used my Apple Barrel acrylic paint in Pink Parfait and then just added some white to it. And the lightest pink is more white. There's barely any pink in there. And then I'm also going to do some celery green with a whole lot of white. So it's going to be a really light green. And then I took some Dollar Tree cutouts, and I'm going to paint those green as well in a couple of different shades. And then I took a church ornament, which I use these all the time. I love them. And I'm going to give him a few little pink highlights here and there on some of the walls and around the windows. But I wanted it to still be sparkly, and everywhere that you paint, it's going to make the glitter go away. So I still wanted some of that on there. So when I pulled my pieces off of my boxes, those were different colors that I had completely forgotten about. So I didn't want those to be too light. It didn't look like gingerbread. So I did have to paint those in with some brownish colored paint. You guys know I love an unmasking. And so pulling up these pieces off of the houses was so much fun. And I'm going to show you the different designs that I made. We had a total of 15 houses. I'm doing 5 sets of 3 in each of those colors, and I'm going to show you all of the different designs. So if you decide to make this, you don't have to do all the designing and guesswork of trying to figure out how to make them, because that's what took the longest. And once I got that figured out, I was able to embellish them and give them all kinds of fun treatments and gingerbread sweetness. So in my sets of 3, I have one super light pink, and then a regular pink, which is still light pink, and then my green. So you're going to have these 3 colors in each of the types. And then here's the different designs that I made for each of those sets of 3. And so when you do the embellishing, just make sure they're the same for that particular set, so that when you go to arrange them on your tower, it's easier to alternate and arrange them. So then I made a little wreath with some Dollar Tree stems. I added a foam snowflake to the top of some, and then I took my white paint pen, and then I'm going to outline my windows and make my little doors. I just made a line with 2 little dots so that that looked like a little door. I wanted these to be different but still be similar and look cohesive. So then I took some pearl strips and cut those down, glued those to the tops for the roof. And this is a really good time to use your detail point on your hot glue gun by Surebonder. That wasn't a sponsor thing, that was just saying. You need a really little tip to get these pearls on. I took some sparkly ribbon from the Dollar Tree and just pleated that using my hot glue. And I thought this made it look like that frosting that you would see on decorative cookies. And you can see how I'm just folding it and adding glue, and then adding glue in the back and then folding it. You see what I'm doing here. And then I took some Dollar Tree lace, added that to the top of some roofs. I mean, the possibilities are endless, and this was just so much fun. And then once I had all of the roofs attached, then I'm going to do the final outline with my white paint pen and go all the way around each of my cookies. So now it's finally time to assemble this, and I'm just using my hot glue and attaching my largest box to my wood round at the bottom. And then I took my second one, placed it upside down. Remember, don't add the lid on this one because it's too tight for the houses to fit in between. And then on the third one, I'll just add that to the top, and then I start placing my houses. So I just took my hot glue and rolled it up the side of my hat box and placed that onto the side. And if you remember, I have different sizes of houses, including the one that Kristen gave me, but it's okay to have gaps because we're going to be covering those with our little Christmas trees, some snowflakes, some big snowflakes, and even if the gaps show, that's okay because not every neighborhood is super close together. And you can see here on this last one, it didn't quite make it to the hat box, so I just glued it to the 2 side houses next to it. And I think the embellishing is the funnest part of all, aside from taking up that tape. But because this is so tall, I wasn't able to film the top part, but all I did was took the bigger block, the drawer block, and I put the smaller block on that one kind of diagonally, and then put my church on top of that. And then after I got all of my embellishments done, I took some hot glue and packed on the shimmery snow so that it was nice and sparkly. And here it is all finished. And I can't even tell you how much I love this so much. It was a little expensive because we got to about $24, I think it was, including the hat boxes. But if you use tin cans or some kind of plastic containers or something else, you don't have to spend that extra $8. But I just love how this turned out. I would pay, well, I'm not going to tell you what I would pay, but I just think it's so pretty and it looks like one of those cookie towers. Do you guys love it? I love it. I am just so swooning on this. And it's so pretty from every side. Technically, there is no front, but I used Kristen's as the front center point so that I could build around that. And I don't know, I just love it so much. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, comment, let me know what you think. If you're not already, I hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button down below as well as the little bell so that you can be notified every time I upload a brand new video. Don't forget to check out the playlist. I'll have it linked in the description box below so you can see all of the amazing creations by some really rock star YouTubers. Remember the reason for the season. I hope everyone has a blessed day and remember to always be the light. Bye!